sunshine, or the flowers would die. The rivers would be desert, all barren and dry. Life can't be all blessings, or there be no need to pray. So I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Thank you for every hill I climbed, for every time the sun didn't shine. Thank you for every lonely night I prayed till I knew that everything was all right. And I thank you for the valley I walked through today. Good job, good job, good job. Pop, I didn't hear you singing. Yeah. Do what? And he come in one church service and he had a bunch of artificial flowers, multicolored, and he handed them over to her, and she was not impressed with them fake flowers, and she commented on him handing her fake flowers. And I never forget, he said, "Well, Dadgum, where do you expect me to get fresh flowers? It's the middle of winter." So it's the middle of winter and there's some fresh flowers. Those are fully bloomed out. They had no blooms in January. That's just hard to believe right there. That shows you have flowers. That's correct, right? We read that in the Bible. Just to let everybody know to stay away from you. That they have a disease and they don't want them to catch it. I had a man that had a seizure, and I happened to be there. And after his first seizure, he had several, 4 or 5 of them, but after his first seizure, I helped to roll him over on his back and was talking to him. He'd come to, and he was able to answer questions. And I was asking him this and asking him that, as we do assessments in the middle of a strenuous or stressful situation. And I'd ask him, had he had seizures? And he said, yes. He said, I've had them for quite a while. I said, when did you have your last one? He said, about a month ago. So I asked him, you taking your medicines? Yes. I said, what are you taking? I said, you're taking Keppra? And he said, yes, taking Keppra. And he said, I took it this morning. And I said, okay. And I'm looking in his eyes, trying to assess him, and he started crying. And he was about to go into another seizure. Like I said, he had 4 or 5 in just a few minutes. And he started crying. And he looked me in the eye, and he said, I'm HIV positive. And I said, I wasn't thinking there's people around me. I said, HIV positive. In my mind, I'm trying to think the drugs he might be taking. Was he telling me that that's caused his seizure? And I'm trying to put all this together, and it wasn't making any sense. And he started his next seizure, and we put him back on his side. And I got to thinking about what he was doing. He was letting us know that we're working with him, that I've got a disease, and y'all need to be careful. And he didn't have to tell us that. Ooh, that touched my heart. In the middle of a seizure, this man had enough wherewithal to let us know that he had something that he didn't want us to have. I don't know how he got it. Doesn't matter. But that touched my heart. I've thought about it ever since then. And when and if I see him again, I'm going to tell him that I appreciate that. Not that it makes any difference to a nurse. We're supposed to treat everybody the same as doctors. Everybody's the same. But for him to have that thought in his mind to protect those that were trying to render care to him, that was a special thing. I don't know his heart. They sent him off to the hospital, and I called to check on him, and he's out of the hospital. I don't know where he lives. I don't know his last name. I don't know nothing about him. But he made an impression on my life. Lord, have mercy. What did Jesus tell, what was his name? I don't know if he had a name. Was it just a centurion that it showed? And Jesus said that no greater love have I seen, not in all of Israel. And here was a person with a pretty bad disease. Still was caring and loving those around him enough to let us know that he had a problem. And Lord, we Christians, we backbite and we tear each other down. We need to have that love and that compassion. That was compassion I saw from him to those that were going to be rendering care, that he let them know that, hey, I got something. Y'all need to be careful. And we need to love one another, like Jesus said, to love one another and take care of one another and lift one another up when they need lifting up. Pat them on the back when they do something good. Kick them in the rear end when they need chastising. And we're not beyond that. We shouldn't be. We should never be that. So I appreciated that out of that gentleman. And we should do that one to another. Good to see y'all this evening. Husbands, go get some daffodils for your wife. You'll have to go find your own. I got all of them. There's some fenced in down here at the three-way stop. Y'all swim at your own risk down there. Brother Bailey, come give us what the Lord's put on you this evening. Now, why would she say that? I'm just going to give you some words of wisdom. To you. This is brother to brother. That type of language is not going to score you any points. That is a mate that God gave you, and you need to treat her respectfully. Now, I say that with the caveat here. I didn't always do that. That's why there's flowers today. That's why clothes get ironed. That's why grocery stuff. Because I got a lot of making up to do. So unless you want to get off that tractor and iron clothes and wash clothes and go buy groceries, you need to get her some flowers every once in a while and keep that mouth shut.
Good evening. Brother Whalen, no, you hadn't been married over 52 years, have you? Well, don't give me no advice. I'll talk to you later because I believe you need some help. Yeah. If nothing happens and the Lord lets me live, this February the 14th will be 55 years that I have never missed buying Bonnie a box of candy. 55 years. And I'll give you some money, half of them flowers, I'll buy them from you. Some. But Brother Whalen, I like candy a lot better than I like flowers. And most of the time she's, a lot of the times, I'm trying to lose weight. Why did you buy that? Because I like chocolate candy. Cut that camera off. Nobody want to come here. It's good to be back this afternoon. This here, just got a few verses I'd like to read. But this here in the Old Testament, y'all gonna run me off being in that Old Testament so much, but I love it. I love it. The Lord uses the Old Testament a lot, and we should also. But this here's Samuel was sent to the house of Jesse to anoint the next king. And I guess that's what this afternoon when I was didn't get a nap. Somebody asked me if I got a nap. I don't ever get a nap on Sunday. I don't know where I'm too hyped up or reading study. I don't know, but I don't ever get one. But this right here, as I was reading this, didn't do much really much research or anything on it. But like I said, Samuel was sent to the house of Jesse to anoint a new king. And what's interesting, and we have to be careful. Maybe we don't, but let's just say the world has to be careful of what God is interested in our lives. What God is interested in. I mean, everything about us, God, God, I guess, is interested in it. But there's something here that, let me read 1 Samuel chapter 16. We'll just read verses 7 through 13. But like I said, you can go back and he's done there checking out Jesse's sons and everything, and the ones that Jesse thought was going to be the next king, that wasn't what God was looking at. That wasn't what God was looking at. Well, I'll read here. It says, "But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outside appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart." And so that's what I'm talking about. What God is interested in our lives is what we've got right here. The heart. The heart. I'd be left out if he's looking for anything else from me right here. But it said, then Jesse called Abinab and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made a shamar to, I know I'm not pronouncing them right, to pass by. And he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David, and from that day forward. So this right here, all of the ones that the world would look at, any one of them, I got to think, would have been chosen by the world to be king. But that's not what God was looking for. God knows the heart. And I guess that's what I'm saying tonight. You know, we can, I talked about the things that that people do, good people do, and what Christians are supposed to do, you know. But God knows if these things, the outward appearance of man, he knows if we're sincere about everything we do, everything we say, whatever. God knows if we're sincere or not. I can fool. There's no doubt I can fool a lot of people. I can fool a lot of people. Each one of you, there's a lot of people that you can fool, but one thing for sure, you cannot fool God. And so this right here, David came by, God knew his heart. You know, you look this, God knew exactly what David was going to do in his life. God knew exactly that David was going to, like all men do, God knows that he was going to mess up somewhere down his life. He knew that there was going to be sin in his life. He knew that the world was going to get hold of David. But God knew his heart. And he was the one that was anointed king. King over Israel was this little old boy at the time. Some of you probably can tell me how old he was. I don't know, but I've got to think he was a youngster. He was the youngest. He was the youngest. He was a young fella at this time. But God knew that he was the man that needs to be leading Israel. And what a man he turned out to be. But that's what, saying that, not going to keep you long tonight, but saying that, God knows, and we need to know that God knows what's in our hearts. He needs to, I think a prayer that would be perfectly in order for each one of us, us to pray daily in our life is for God to look at us. To look at us and let us know what kind of person we are. Look at us, Lord. Look at us. Let me know. Let me know, Lord. And we as Christians, God's going to let us know. God's going to let us know. We as Christians, God's going to let us know, because there's going to be always things in our hearts and lives that we need to correct, that we need to receive forgiveness for. And I started to say pray to the Lord, but if we're going to be corrected, we're going to have to pray to the Lord for that. But this man right here, God says right here, I see the inside. I look at the inside. I see the heart. You know, all of these, this outward appearance is it's of non-importance. It's of non-importance because I know the heart, and that's what God can take us and use us if our heart is right with God. You know, there's God. I guess some people may be different from me, but God needs us. And the Christians will be quick. A lot of Christians be sure He don't need us. God does. God needs us, I believe, and y'all can correct me if you want to later on, but I think God needs us. God needs us. He needs us to go out in the world He needs us to witness. He needs us to pray. He needs us to look after His business here on earth.